in today's podcast, the last week has been absolutely crazy. We had a bunch of different items that happened with the Epstein files. We had a gigantic mining disaster in Zambia, and that's actually very important for us to talk about for a couple of reasons. We have Trump disappearing, reappearing. Then he is creating now this Department of War, which I have a lot to say on. And Turkey came out with a crazy statement that, well, it really highlights, I think, a lot of things that we have seen. So without further delay, let's just jump right into it. Now, the Department of War, because recently they have officially made that decision for them to transition the Department of Defense into the Department of War. Well, the very first thing that we should be aware of is that it's unconstitutional. In order to make name changes to different departments within the federal government, or to add or remove any department, you need an act of Congress. And what's even funnier and maybe a little bit more ironic of this is that in order to declare war on another country, you need Congress to declare it. So basically, this goes a little deeper to every single military action that has ever happened in the history of the United States since World War II has been illegal. Has been completely illegal. So for them to go and change the name of the Department of Defense to the Department of War, to me, highlights this continuous nature of the executive branch overriding the legislative branch, further politicizing and giving more power to the executive branch. So this unconstitutional action should be looked at. I mean, they should really dive into this. They should be held accountable. And even more so, Trump branded himself as the anti-war presidential candidate whenever he was running for office. So why would you go and create a Department of War? To me, I think that's crazy. Personally, my belief is the way I see this, where's the Department of Peace? Doesn't he want a Nobel Peace Prize? Is that not like what he wants? Isn't that what we would all kind of like dream and desire to get? Because that would mean that we are creating peace on this planet. And this even comes back to vibrations and energy that we talk about in the Indigo Education podcasts, which is that, to me personally, it indicates this directional push towards more war. Why would you not rebrand it as the Department of Peace? Because peace is our goal, right? That's our intention. At least that should be the intention of all the leaders of the world, is to achieve peace. So why would you not have a department focused on peace? Why? And even furthermore, this ties into something that occurred that the Defense Department, well, the Department of War, right? Because we want to be offensive. We want to be able to kill people. Happened where the U.S. conducted a lethal strike on a Venezuelan drug boat in the Caribbean. Because if you've been following the news, they've been trying to get you to think about the United States getting into a war with Venezuela. If you saw Marco Rubio testifying in front of Congress, he kept talking about how China and Russia are creating drones in Venezuela. So, that, their president is a brutal dictator, so we should overthrow him, because we haven't done enough regime changes across the world. So Venezuela would be the next one on the list, right? But to take a step back, this lethal strike is not the way to do this. In my opinion, it's completely barbaric. If you have the technology, which they clearly do, to track this boat, this Venezuelan drug boat, they know where it's coming into the United States. So if they know where it's coming in, they can track it, they can fly a drone over it. Once it comes in, you detain them, you investigate, you figure out where they're selling it, who they're selling it to, and then you're saving lives. Because drug smuggling is not an offense that is deemed punishable by death. It's not like these people were actively murdering people, right? Since when is drug dealing a death sentence? Not to mention, this goes against the fabric of being an American citizen. And I know they're not American citizens, and there's a whole guise here to keep America safe and healthy and drug-free, which surface level, completely agree with. The way it's being implemented, I disagree with. But for them to unilaterally decide that these people were guilty and then execute them, to me feels very un-American. The executive branch, the Department of War, decided that they would be judge, jury, and executioner for these 11 men who we don't know. I mean, they say they were peddling drugs. Were they? We don't know because they didn't get their fair day in court. So are we just going to bomb anybody now who's in a boat, who we think has drugs, who we think might be bringing them to America? Is that the precedent that we're now setting as a country? Why in the world are we allowing this to kind of just happen? Well, it's keeping America safe. Do you really think killing those 11 people is going to save people in America? Big picture, zoom out. You know, and even if you want to play this little argument game, if let's say hypothetically they had a pound of fentanyl on the boat and they blew up that fentanyl, you don't think they're going to just have other people to replace them the next day? You think that some sort of drug cartel out of Venezuela that has an entire operation in America doesn't have just people ready to just put on another boat and go? It's very unfortunate. And in my opinion, another thing came out in this week that highlights and is going to bring us closer to where I see the leaders of our country, America, the United States of America, and the leaders of the world, the direction that they're taking us. Because recently you had Turkey come out in the past week saying that there is no other option than waging a full-scale war with Israel to save humanity. And they said, in order for them to save humanity, we must destroy it. I mean, I feel like the leaders are just crazy. Is there another word for it? Anti-humanitarians? They want to enslave and kill us? I don't have another logical thought for this. Turkey thinks that in order for us to save America, to save the world, we have to kill everybody. These are the elected officials that we have in the world. And now I'm glad Trump has never said anything like that, but his actions, Department of War, killing in cold blood 11 people, humans, people with family, with children, all because they're trying to make a living. No, it's obviously not the most honest living. I'm not trying to support that. It's wrong. We should stop that. But we shouldn't just be killing them in cold blood. You track them, because if we know where the boat is coming in, if it's actually a drug boat, you track them, capture them, interrogate them, and then you can put them in jail. You can assess the situation at that point. But to unilaterally decide to be judge, jury, and executioner goes against the fabric of what it means to be a citizen of the United States. It goes against our Constitution, the most basic form. And you can sit there and maybe some would argue, well, they're not United States citizens, so they don't get the same rights. But I would argue that that's not the precedent that we want to be setting for the world. We want to be taking our freedoms that we apparently have and sharing that with the world. So even if they are not directly an American citizen, should we not at least treat them with the same respect as being a human being? Because those constitutional values are what we subscribe to as Americans. We subscribe to the idea that you're innocent till proven guilty, right? And I feel it's fair to say that as an American, as a United States citizen, we want that to be the ipso facto case across the world. We want every country to buy into that. And we should treat everyone in that sense, right? Shouldn't we? Am I crazy for thinking that? What do you think? Because all that I see here is that it's one standard for one people and another standard for others. And I don't think that's right in situations like this. I think it's evil. I think it's anti-humanitarian. And I think it's wrong. And speaking of things that are anti-humanitarian, but now's the fun part where we start to spin back into the positive. Let's take a little spin back into the positive, right? We have Marjorie Taylor Greene, which I never thought in a million years I'd be thinking that she would be on this. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Representative Thomas Massey, and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, representatives of the United States Congress, standing on the Capitol building with the victims from Epstein, talking about how there are high-level individuals who they feel afraid to name. Marjorie Taylor Greene saying that if we don't release the files, that we're going to go out of our way. And she's going to take it into Congress and release the names that they give her. Now, I don't know if that's like a lot of people could get caught in the crossfire if the women are making it up, and I'm not, let's be very clear here. I'm not saying that the victims of Epstein are making up that they were sexually abused and everything. I'm saying that they could slip in names, maybe someone they don't like, but we don't know. But that's the problem that we have with our judicial system that's hiding all these files. They released 33,000, but only 3% of the information is like kind of new. And then on top of that, we have Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who's blocking the files from being released, but then simultaneously saying that the reason Donald Trump's mentioned in them is because he was an FBI informant, which there's no basis for whatsoever. He's just throwing that out there. Then you have Trump saying that it's a Democrat hoax. And the entire thing is just a complete chaotic mess. And as I sit here sifting through all of this, the only thing that I can come or surmise or think to feel is that they are doing this to exhaust the public out of caring about the Epstein files, out of caring that pedophiles are likely could be running all the highest institutions of this world, all of government, all of business. And I hope that's not the case. I don't know. Okay. I don't know for that to be a fact, but what I do know is that there is a lot of cover up. There's a lot of hiding here. There's a lot of hand waving, if you will. And all of it seems to exhaust the public, to make us look a different way. Don't look at the Epstein files. We're going to bomb this Venezuelan drug boat. Don't look at the Epstein files. We're changing the name of Department of Defense to Department of War. Because I'm the no war president and I literally created a department for war. I mean, it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And then we have Turkey saying that a full-scale war with Israel is the plan. I mean, it's just, when you start like researching outside of the mainstream media, outside of the, like, here's what you have to listen to. Once you start putting it all together, because whenever you watch the news consistently, it's like this distraction game. Look over here, look over here, look over here. But once you like take a step back and you scale out what has happened throughout the last week, you get, and if you look at the last month, the last year, the last 10 years, a picture starts to get painted for you of the direction that the elite and that the leaders are trying to take the humanity. They're trying to take America there. They're trying to take Turkey there, Israel, Palestine. And it is anti-human to its core. Look at the actions. Actions speak louder than words. Look at my past podcasts. Can you not see the dominoes lining up of what they're trying to do? And I don't know why you would. I don't know how you would. I don't know how you get into these positions and sit there and think I want to take over this world so I can enslave humanity. Like, that's just crazy to me. Crazy to me in the sense of, like, shouldn't we just want everyone to be prosperous? Wouldn't we want everyone to be happy? Shouldn't we want that? Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be sweet? Wouldn't that be just nice? But no, we have a ton of problems that we have to fix, and we have to get the American Congress Party in to fix. You have to vote American Congress Party because this is Democrat and Republican problems. They're not going to fix these. Do you think that either side wants the Epstein files released? It doesn't seem like it. And to kind of pivot maybe, right, into this idea of saving humanity, saving nature, saving the world. And this is why we also need to kind of take a step back and look at what happened in Zambia this past week, which was a giant mining disaster. Okay. And you have to realize this is why a lot of these things need to be stopped. A lot of these practices need to be stopped because there was a dam that broke from, guess it, a Chinese mining company. The dam collapsed, and this dam is holding back what they say was 1.5 million tons of toxic sludge just released. The dam broke and it just released. And the chemicals in this 1.5 million tons of toxic sludge: arsenic, cyanide, uranium. Guess what happens if you ingest that in the water and in the food? It's not good. Not good at all. It killed everything in the river overnight. Crops were drying up. Fish were popping up dead. They needed to essentially evacuate the area. And they're running all this PR now that everything's fine. We cleaned it all up. It's all clean. But the reality is you dump 1.5 million tons of toxic sludge of arsenic, cyanide, uranium. It's going to take years, maybe decades, for nature on its own to clean it up. And I'm telling you, the people that are in charge of this, it doesn't fiscally cost them enough money to save this. You think the people of Zambia, the people there, are going to be able to sue the Chinese government to pay them for the damages, for the cancer, for the death that is going to wreak upon them? You think that's possible? You think they have the power to do that? No, that's not going to happen. And if they do, it'll be a slap on the wrist. They won't get any justice that they deserve. We've seen this story time and time again, and it is exactly why we have to stop the drilling. We don't need to be pulling out the bones of Earth. We don't need to be extracting the blood from Earth. Because the Earth is a living, breathing organism. It just is. It supplies you with air, and you don't have to do anything. It could supply us with food and you wouldn't have to do anything. It could supply us with water and you wouldn't have to do anything. But corporations, these people who do not want peace, who are anti-humanitarian, are poisoning everything with stuff like this. Well, but the energy will get so much more expensive. It's not true. There are many forms of energy that we are able to capture. We can capture the waves. We can capture footsteps. I'm not talking about solar panels. I'm not talking about wind farms. When you walk through subway stations and you have the little turnstile, you can capture that energy. Anywhere where humans are exerting force, kinetic energy on the roads, or it's piezoelectric energy on the roads. There's so much energy that gets wasted and could be very easily captured, but it's not profitable. So why should they do it? It helps humanity and it's not profitable. And so we have to come together. We have to do what's right. We have to empower the common people. We have to be there for people like the people of Zambia, who are going to get, unfortunately, demolished by this. They're going to get hurt pretty bad. And we can't do anything about it because we don't have any power, because we're not coming together, because we're still brainwashed into believing that if I just vote Democrat one more time, if I just vote Republican one more time, because I can't let the other guy get in, because if the other guy gets in, then it's going to be even worse. Democrats and Republicans agree on everything that actually matters, that actually gets passed in Congress. More money spending on war, they agree. Funding killing innocent people, they agree. No health care, no Medicare, no non-chemical food, they all agree. Don't purify the food. Jack up medication costs, make sure everyone's getting drugged up, they agree. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not sure what else there is to tell you. It's right in front of us if we just dare to look. So hopefully you're going to start looking. And hopefully I will see you in the 6th dimension.